Okay. Court is back in session. Oh,
Are you ready?
you're
Is it somebody on Zoom or in the courtroom?
in the courtroom.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Jefferson County Court at Law is back in session. Next case that we have is clause number 321394. Case is style, the state of Texas versus Chase Wade Ellis. We have Mr. Chase Wade Ellis present in court with his attorney Keith Ellis. And we also have present in court the state assistant district attorney Tommy Coleman. Before we get started, I need to do something. Okay, we're back in session in cause number 321394. Case is style, the state of Texas versus Chase Wade Ellis. State, are you ready?
It's ready to see.
Defense, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Coleman, you may proceed.
Your Honor, I'll ask the court to take judicial notes of the clerk's file, including any docket notes to reflect the fact that back on August 31st of this year, a bench trial was conducted in which, after testimony and evidence, the court found the defendant guilty and ordered him to submit to a pre-sentence investigation.
Okay,
And the state's position is that failing a showing of good cause while the defendant did not submit to the said PSI, we'd ask that at a minimum, he be held in contempt of court, and then at a maximum, be held in contempt of court, and minimum, his bond be revoked, it will facilitate a PSI being prepared in the fact that he'd be in custody and the probation department would not have to track him down or otherwise try to get him to come into the office.
okay. Mr. Ellis, you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor, may I speak from here?
Yes.
Judge, we had our trial back on August the 29th. It was originally set for the 30th, but the court called me a few days before and said it was moved up to the 29th, so that's what day it was supposed to be on. At the end of the trial, upon finding Mr. Ellis guilty, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon or close to it, and the court ordered the PSI. But once the PSI was ordered, I actually stood up and asked the court, Judge, what do you want him, Mr. Ellis, to do about obtaining a PSI? And you said, well, it's too late to go today. And so we'll contact you. So, and Judge, most all of this is on the Zoom, was able to go back and look at all the things that was said, and I've just got notes here that indicate. But in any event, was told that was going to be contacted. I asked 2 times about what his court wanted him to do about the PSI. So after 2 weeks, on September the 14th, was able to go back and get Chase's cell phone and look at the date. So we're pretty sure about the date. But on September the 15th, Chase left a message with probation. That was 2 weeks, but was waiting on a contact from the court. Then on the 24th, he spoke with someone who, on the 21st, I'm sorry, the 21st, he spoke with someone who sent him to intake saying they had nothing.
He's offering testimony and asked that testimony be form of sworn testimony.
Okay.
Through his mind.
You're
Okay.
right. I'm not-
Objection sustained.
I'm just stating the facts. here.
Okay.
Well,
Mis-
it's not a fact unless the finder of fact determines it's a fact. Not answer to be under. sworn.
Yeah, Mr. Ellis, I guess basically what he's saying is, the hearsay information that you providing, your client is next to you, so you prefer, well, require that your client
I can
testify
answer
to that.
these questions, Your Honor.
Right. Right, that's, okay. Let's, yeah, let's do this here. Why don't you come forward, Mr. Ellis? Okay, Mr. Ellis, will you please raise your right hand? Mr. Ellis, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Ellis, you may take the witness stand.
Yes, sir.
Just hold on, Mr. Ellis. He's going to change the mic cover. Okay, Mr. Keith, Miss Attorney Keith Ellis, you may proceed.
Okay, Mr. Ellis, you recall what date our bench trial was on?
Yes, sir.
What date was that?
29,
Of what month?
August.
Okay, now, had we originally started preparing for trial sometime before that?
Yes, sir.
What date was the trial set for?
We came in, I came in, you had your, went to the doctor, went to the hospital or whatever. And so I came in by myself and they reset it for, they said the next day, but the resetting paper actually showed 2 days from that. So they called you and set it for the next day, actually.
Okay, but
I guess that's what you're asking. So,
I was actually in the hospital and I got a call from the court to tell me that it was set the next day, even though I was in the hospital. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
Okay, and at the end of your trial, you recall what was said about the PSI?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the court?
Well, I think he said, I'm not sure, it was 35 to 45 days or something, 30 to 45 days. That, he told the assistant or whatever that I had given 30 to 45 days or something like that. And then you stood up and asked what we need to do about the PSI. And he said they would contact us.
Okay, and that was on the 29th, correct? August.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
What date was that on?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was 29th. Yes, sir.
And it's okay, just take your time and think it out. So on the 29th, you got something indicating that you, or at least was told that you had 30 to 45 days for a PSI.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that what your statement was? And, so that makes it somewhere mid part of this month, correct?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
Okay, and, did you wait until around the 14th before you called probation?
Yes, sir. I thought they were going to contact.
Okay, and did you call the probation department on the 14th?
Yes, sir.
And what was you told?
They wasn't told anything that day. I left a message.
Okay, did you leave a message in your phone number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the next time,
And just to correct, I broke my phone like the day before, 2 days before that. I just got a new phone. I gave them Douglas as one of my brothers at the time. just to make sure they got hold of me.
Okay, so you actually didn't have the phone present, but you left your brother's cell phone, is that
Yes,
correct?
because on the port, that's the only, one I don't have on my cell phone right now because I used, I believe it was your phone, to call. And so I left Otis's number around him more often, so hopefully that makes sense.
Okay, when was the next time, you contacted,
The 21st, I believe.
so the 21st, a week later, you contacted probation again, is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I don't remember if I called once or twice that day, but when I called, the second time, I left a message, I'm sorry, left a message the first time, the second time, I spoke to someone, they sent me an intake, and neither one of them knew anything about it.
So now we're talking about 3 weeks after the trial, better than 3 weeks after the trial, probation nor intake had anything to tell you, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you spoke with someone, sent you the intake, and, they basically just said, I don't know what you're calling for.
Right.
Okay, did you call back around the 29th?
Yes, sir. And I don't have the date. I'm gonna get my phone and tell you, but yes, sir, I believe that sounds about right.
On the 29th, did you call more than one?
I want to say that they called 3 times, like, said I look at my phone and tell you.
Whenever you was called, and if you didn't get anyone on the phone, would you leave a message?
Not every time, but at least, the days that I called, I left one message at least.
All right, and then, didn't get anybody on the 29th, did you call back on the 3rd?
Yes, sir. That was October 3rd.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Did you call one time that day?
I think so. I mean, I called at least once. I don't know without looking at my phone how many times I called.
Is it fair to say you called back again the next day, the 4th?
Yes, sir.
And did you call 3 times that day?
Yes, sir. That's no, sir.
On the 5th, did you call the court?
Yes, sir.
And what was you told from the court?
To contact Judy with the probation department, PSI department, and she would help me out. And they also told me that I had a court date on the 10th.
Okay, so it was the 5th, that you called the court, and the court informed you of, this hearing today.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever get any notification from your attorney?
No, sir.
Okay, what did the court, when you got a hold of the court on the 5th, what did they tell you?
They told me to contact Judy with the PSI Department of Probation, and also told me that I had a court date, and I told them I called several times and all that stuff. And that was about all it said.
Okay, did you call Judy?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was said then?
She, I believe that day she told me there was nothing that she could do, that I didn't really understand what she was saying. She said there was nothing I could do, and I said, well, do I need to come in or what? And she said, no, not at this point. She said, I'll contact the court and I'll let you know something by the end of the day, which I never heard from her that day.
When did you hear from
I heard from her the next morning.
her? And what did she tell you?
She told me to go ahead and come on in, and I believe, and the day before, she told me she was gonna talk to the prosecutor, and she told me the next day that she'd talk to him, to go ahead and come on in that day and fill out my paperwork.
Okay, and at this time, what did you do on the date that you went in? Or she told you to come in? What
Yes,
did you
sir.
do on that day?
I went in, I told her I could be there between 2 and 3 o'clock. So I went in at that time and filled out a big stack of papers and set up an appointment for tomorrow to be there.
So you actually have an appointment with probation
Yes, sir, I
tomorrow.
got that right there.
You think you tried diligently to get into probation in order to start your PSI?
I feel like I did.
Now, your PSI is not, we're not due in court, or you was not told to have your PSI done until by the, you know what date?
They said 30 to 45 days, and then the court date was on, sentencing date was on the 28th.
Okay, so it's still, they've been, the 10th for 18 days before your sentencing time to start with, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you have done anything else to make this go quicker?
I guess I could have called the court, before that, maybe possibly. I mean, I was waiting for them to contact me, but I guess I could have called them.
But this court, in open court, told you, or told me, is what I think your statement was, that the court would contact us, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Your Honor, pass the witness.
Yes,
Just a few follow-up questions.
okay, Mr. Coleman.
Good morning, Mr. Ellis. It's your testimony that your understanding was you were to have submitted yourself to have PSI conducted within 30 to 45 days, correct?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
30 to 45 days after you were found guilty back on August the 31st, correct?
Yes,
And would you disagree that between August 31st and today's date, we're at 40 days? Would you disagree with me on that?
sounds about right.
And is it your testimony today that you made numerous attempts by telephone to contact probation department?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And would you dispute if the probation department represents that they made numerous attempts to contact you by phone?
Yes, sir, I didn't receive any call.
Is it your testimony today that it is probation department's fault that you didn't get the PSI done or submit yourself for PSI before today's date?
I'm not, I don't know who to blame. I mean, I'm just stating what the facts. What happened?
Do you own a vehicle, Mr. Ellis?
Yes, sir, I did.
Rather than, let me ask you this. Did you get the name or names of any of those individuals that you spoke to back on the 14th, 21st, or the 29th?
No, sir. I might have, but I don't remember if I did.
So you're asking this court to take your word for the fact that you spoke to somebody on the 14th, 21st, and 29th?
I got phone records of it. I can prove that.
But you would admit that the phone records would only show that you called the office, correct? It wouldn't show that you actually spoke to anybody.
Well, I get incoming in, outgoing calls. They show up on my recent call log, so I would think it would show up both ways.
It will show up that you made a call, right?
Right.
Back to your vehicle. Do you own a vehicle?
Yes, sir, I did.
If you were court ordered by this court to submit to a PSI within a certain amount of time, and you were having difficulty by phone, don't you think it would be prudent to maybe drive to visit the probation department?
Considering that they told me they would contact me and we're not even past the date that I had to get it done. No, sir, I don't. I mean, I ended up contacting, getting a hold of them in time, I feel like. I mean, it's not the 45-day mark.
Do you think this is a serious matter?
Most definitely.
I mean,
Nervous as can be right now.
Because it seems to me that you are, or that you could have taken additional steps other than making a couple of phone calls. Wouldn't you agree?
No, sir.
Okay, pass it.
Mr. Ellis?
Just to reiterate, Mr. Ellis, you was told by this court that, or we was told by this court that they would contact us. And had you and I discussed the fact that normally at the end of the trial, you would have went to probation that day?
That's what you told me. Yes, sir. You said in felony cases, normally that's the case.
But in this case, it was late enough that I actually addressed the court twice and asked the court what they wanted you to do.
Yes, sir.
And they gave you a period of 2 or 3 week time and actually, let me back up just a little bit. Was the court talking to you or I whenever they said have the PSI done by the 28th?
No, sir. I went back on the YouTube and he was talking to his assistant or whatever and said, give him 30 to 45 days to get his PSI done. and never really told, me directly.
Since you've now talked to probation and given you an appointment for tomorrow, did you have any control over when you'd come back, or did they tell you when to come back?
They told me to come back, and I told them, I said, hopefully I'll be able to. I said, I've got a court date on the 10th, it sounds like. I said, I'm not sure what it's about. And I said, is there any way I can get in quicker? And they said, no, that was the quickest I could get in.
Okay, just to go back, so you was told that 30 to, it was said in open court, or it actually said to the staff, 30 to 45 days resetting. Is that correct?
Yes.
At that point, you left and you waited did you wait for me to give you word where to go, when to go, and how to go?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry.
Let me change the question. Let me back up a little bit. Have you been ever on probation in Jefferson County before?
No.
Did you know where probation department was?
No, sir.
Did you have to ask and find out where it was whenever you went for the meeting?
Yes, sir, and I also Googled it.
So in order to, when the prosecutor asked you, could you have done this or this, whatever you would have done at that point would not have been what the court told you to do, correct?
That's correct.
And you feel like you was diligently, and if anything, drug your feet a day or two on calling, or would you do it different? Call a
I
day
kind
or
of
two?
waited 2 weeks, about a week into it, we might even had a conversation about it, and, or two actually. And I kind of waited 2 weeks to see if they were going to contact me, and never heard anything. So on the 2 weeks and 1 day, that's when I started trying to contact.
And you actually called, in a little over 2 week period, you contacted on the probation or the court. 12 times, is that correct?
Yes.
And is it your request to have the court give you the leeway to at least go tomorrow, see what's going on? And it may be that they can have your PSI done by the original date to start with, but although that's not in your control, correct? I pass witness.
Mr. Ellis, how old of an individual are you?
35.
35 years old. And you're telling this court, well, is it your testimony that because, and I'm reading your words here, because the court never really told you directly, is it your testimony that it's the court's fault that you haven't gotten that PSI done?
Like I said earlier, I don't know whose fault it is. I'm stating facts. I mean, I'm not here to blame nobody. I'm nobody to blame nobody. So I don't know who's to blame. This is the first time I've been through this process. So I don't know how it's supposed to go.
Well, but you said that you couldn't get through the probation department because they failed to either answer your call or return your phone call. Now you testified that the court never really told you directly, that the court was talking to the court staff. It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it is your attempt to try to not take personal responsibility for failing to show up for a PSI. Am I wrong or am I right?
I feel like you're way wrong on that.
That's what it's.
Is it your intent to do whatever the court tells you to do, instructs you to do, and do it in a diligent fashion?
Yes, sir. I stated that on my paperwork the other day. Whatever it is, they asked me to do, I'll do it 100%.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Ellis, you may step down. Mr. Colvin, you have any witnesses? Okay. At this time, what the court is going to do, let me get a copy of the transcript from the court reporter that did the last, I think it was, I guess, at the end of the trial on September the 1st. That's the date I have here. Court's taking judicial notice of the paperwork in the file. That's states that, this notice of resetting, it was set, okay, August 31st, yeah. Notice of resetting was August 31st. And it's stated here that this case was reset to October 28th of 2022, signed by Mr. Ellis. And this was in reference to the PSI that was ordered by the court on September 31st of 2022. I think you made mention of a conversation or instructions that were given to the court coordinator that was in court at the time. Those instructions was given because we did not know how soon or how long it would take for the probation department to do a PSI. So I think the 30 to 45 days was mentioned. So the court coordinator just basically looked at the calendar and set the date for the sentencing to be on October the 28th of 2022, and for the PSI to be done by that time. But the court is going to look at the transcript to see what instructions I was given. I noticed a couple of things that were said here in this show cause hearing. So the court is going to take this under advisement. I think you said you have an appointment with the probation department
Yes, sir.
on tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay, we don't have any testimony from the probation department as to whether or not they'll be able to have that PSI done with the interview that they're going to have with him on tomorrow, whether or not there will be enough time for them to have the PSI to the court for October 28th. But the court is going to take this matter under advisement. Let's reset it. Let me see, that's the 28th. Today is what? The 10th. Okay. The problem is, show cause hearing, we would prefer to have testimony if the probation office is gonna give some statements. Of course, Mr. Ellis have a right to cross-examine the witness. There's been a couple of statements that was made in reference to calls that Mr. Ellis made to the probation department. And I think there've been reference to calls that the probation office may have made that have been made to Mr. Ellis. At least that was in the form of a statement that was made by the prosecutor. Okay, so at this time, the court is going to take this matter under advisement. In the meantime, let's see. Let's reset it a week. Yeah.
That would be October 17th.
Yeah, we're gonna reset it for October 17th. Okay, but in the meantime, I think you say you have an appointment tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you still need to keep that appointment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If we don't have one, we may have to
What are we doing?
follow up on this. I need to look at the transcript.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this time, we'll be in recess. Okay. You can get your reset date.
It's not one of mine.
Okay, who do we have?